in the Eastern Cape can do this, and there's a budget for murder and robbery to deal with that kind of stuff, you would have found other ways of enhancing their capability. But no, you created a structure outside of the normal organizational structure. You got money drawn from other sources that should be used for other purposes that were budgeted for. You pull it out for a specific task team. Please make me understand why this inconsistent treatment of task teams that both deal with murder.
It's not inconsistency. It's not. I have endeavored to explain that PKTT is a sitting task team, if I could use that word to qualify, 7 years in office. What alternative do you have? Specialized unit. Which one? Murder and robbery. There isn't an instance in KZN where murder and robbery would have been found to be weak and dysfunctional, where you would then have intervened. That one in the Eastern Cape is an intervention.
No, Minister, you can't say that, because much earlier in our discussion, you admitted that you never received a report about the capabilities of murder and robbery in KZN. So we settled that, or at least I thought we settled that when you made the decision, and because on the basis that murder and robbery should deal with those yes, political cases.
I remember, yes.
You said I didn't have a report, and Ms. Silo, in fact, referred you to an affidavit of General Motsepe where she says, well, the capabilities had not yet been established.
We didn't end up like that, Commissioner. I ended up my statement by saying, I rely on the submission. I relied at that time when I wrote this directive on the reports, the Marai report, which had signatures up to Deputy National Commissioner approving implementation, not establishment. Whatever it was based on, it was them who made an assessment and agreed and signed and submitted to National Commissioner. Now, I sit here and I get that I rely on them and I say it means all is well. These are senior officials. I have nothing to doubt. In the case of Eastern Cape, when this problem erupts, it struck us as a situation requiring intervention in the form of a team led by General Zulu. When she gets there, she then discovers, when she now wants to intervene and empower these people, and she discovers what she discovered that we went through. And then she writes that report to say, this is what, they are not a 7-year sitting intervention. They are not an IMC built or established. They are based on what has just erupted. They are sent there. They say 3 months, they deal with that particular problem. They ask for another 3 months, they deal with that particular problem. I agreed with you, Commissioner, that the principles are the same, but the situation, the actual situation that we are arguing about are not the same, not at all. But in the Eastern Cape, I agree with you. We have the alternative. What's the alternative? It is the specialized unit that would stop even an intervention, short as it would be, even if it's extended. But it's one of those things that you would regard as a weakness in the department that require addressing rather than as a practice that must recur. and be accepted as a norm in terms of how subs should function, because it's wasteful. Now, when General Motsipe say that, she is at the same time saying we are not performing well as head of this particular. In other words, I'm not performing well. That's why I still have this and this, and higher up to me, that I now know that quite a number of officers have not been able to establish this as intended long ago as 2019. So there are those differences. On the side of specialized units, we want to build permanency, if there is English like that. We want to build sustainability, and ideally that would function without the need for interventions of whatever nature.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Silla?
Thank you, Commissioner. And staying with General Dimpane's statement, please turn to page 182. And I'm just going to read part of paragraph 25, and then I'm going to invite you to comment. And at 25, General Dimpane states as follows: I've heard it stated that as the CFO, I also advocated for the disbandment or deactivation of the team before the minister made his decision to disband the team. Do you see where I'm reading, Minister?
I see it.
Overleaf then. However, these comments have been taken out of context. I drew attention to the fact that the team had been in existence for 5 years, and given the ongoing need, as well as to ensure proper planning, budgeting, accountability, and proper resource allocation, it might be necessary to prepare a work study to establish a permanent structure. I stated that as the component head, OD must be, and it's a quotation there, open quotes, tasked to urgently conduct a work study investigation for the establishment of a permanent structure in KZN, close quote. Rather than advocating the disbandment of PKTT, I advocated that a study be conducted to determine whether it should be made a permanent structure, and I'll stop there. Now, this is General Dimpane who penned in that note, in the information note, explaining what her words, what she meant with her comments, and pointing out that you took her words out of context, as if she was advocating for the establishment of the task team. So do you agree? What's your comment to what she stated in her affidavit?
It's not stated what exactly I said. It's just a commentary that Minister made his decision to disband the team. I also advocated for the disbandment. I don't know whether she's taking me verbatim on this matter, I doubt. But to the effect that she wrote like this, let's suppose that it is correct what she says on page 183. We agree with her. How she interprets that and so on, for whatever purpose, she was making a sound statement about expenditure, and I would say it was in broad reference to that, not to say particularly, specifically. She wrote somewhere that PKTT must be disbanded. She was talking from a particular perspective. I agree with her. It's not a big issue.
So Perhaps then just to clarify, the position is, because I think that comment you made before the ad hoc committee,
Yes.
and with reference to notes she, General Dimpani, had made regarding the budgeting for PKTT in the period, I think it was up to March 2024.
Yes.
And so you accept that whatever she wrote in the comments there cannot be construed as support for the disbandment of the PKTT, whatever wording she used. That's not how you understood it, and that's not how you think a reader should understand her words. Is that your position?
Let me first say that I don't have what I have. She doesn't refer to what I said exactly.
No,
Let me pass that.
Apologies, Minister. I was asking a different question. You did make that point. My next question now is whether your position is that you did not understand any of her notes on that document to suggest that she supports the disbandment of the PKTT. That's all.
No, I wouldn't say she supports, because I suppose that she was never requested to support or not to support. What she was given was to consider the budget or consider the request as was put. And then she made certain comments.
Yes.
Whatever comments she made. Then I make reference to those comments that she made. Not necessarily to say she supports or she doesn't support. Okay. Just taking those comments as they were.
Yes.
To say these are the comments that and I consider them to be sound, those comments, but not from endorsement as an endorsement.
Yes.
Of because we were not talking about her and what she would have written or not written. We were talking about the state of finances.
Yes.
And what has come in the environment. That was the reference.
Commissioner Kumalo would like to.
Minister, when did you first learn of Lieutenant General Dimpani's comment?
General Dimpani's comments were quite early. They came in 2024. I think it was at in about March. Later in the year, I became aware of this.
So this document, you became aware of it before you made your decision on 31 December 2020?
Yes, it was before the 31st.
Thank you for that response, Minister. Commissioner Baloyi?
Are you leaving this
Yes,
topic? All right. Maybe one last thing to do with the budget concerns. You, in your paragraph 31, and you spoke to this yesterday, you say no further extensions were sought. This is extension for the PKTT's mandate. As a result, the PKTT continued operating without the required assessment and renewal for more than 2 years. And then you say, I'm advised that this rendered the expenditure on the PKTT irregular under the PFMA. You see where I'm reading, Minister?
Yes.
And then you repeat it slightly differently in paragraph 170. And this time you repeat it as one of your reasons. You say temporary, you see 170?
Yes.
Okay. You say third, SAP's budgetary and organizational obligations, including those treasury instructions and guidelines, require that operational functions be located within approved, properly formed, funded cost centers. Temporary teams outside the approved structure cannot be sustained, and their continuation exposes SAPs to irregular expenditure. The PKTT had not been formally extended since July 2022, rendered continued expenditure irregular under the PFMA. You say that. You started
Yes.
off saying you were advised.
Yes.
Now, General Dimbane says you have never discussed, or she's never discussed with you, the expenditure of the PKTT,
Yes.
the budget. She says that.
Yes.
Who would have advised you that expenditure of the PKTT is irregular under the PFMA?
I was advised by my lawyers. I did indicate that yesterday.
Okay.
I simply put a situation as I understood it, and the
that you have had with
Okay.
your lawyers.
Okay.
You mean your present lawyers?
Yes.
But you see, you cite it as a reason for disbanding. So this is something you must have had by the 29th. That you've had conversations with your present lawyers, I shouldn't get into it. I'm not allowed to get into
That's
it.
fine.
I'm discussing it as a third reason for your decision because it appears under the heading reasons for my directive, and you say third. It's the expenditure is irregular. So hence my question to you, that as at the 29th of December, who would have told you this if the CFO tells Parliament that she's not discussed matters of the PKTT budget with you? Who else in SAPS, as at the 29th of December, told you it's irregular expenditure?
No, before the 29th, I wasn't focused on irregular or regular from the point of view of SAPS or of PKTT. But I was aware that by the 29th, 30th and 31st, that for quite a number of years, SAPS incurs irregular expenditure, whether it comes from PKTT expenditure or from any. But what I was aware of, I was aware that before I wrote that PKTT is a temporal team. It derives its budget, I was aware of that, from national. Now, where national? From various programs. And I was aware that Treasury is discouraging that and encouraging us to discourage it in our departments to do that kind of allocation because it constitutes irregular, in some cases unauthorized. I was aware of that. But whether it is to the extent that I wrote it here, I wrote it when I joined that sentence. That no, it's when we were talking that this is the reason.
Okay.
This is the additional thing that I could add, but I was aware of irregularity.
So you didn't find out for the first time with your with your current legal representatives. It wasn't the first time you realized this expenditure is irregular.
No.
It wasn't.
No.
Okay. Then why do you say in your statement, I am advised, and I want to complete it with from what you are saying now, I'm advised by my lawyers that the expenditure is irregular, if in fact you knew that on the 29th of December?
Well, I could have coined it differently.
No, Minister, it's not coining. No, Minister, let me, maybe I'm being unfair to you. I'll put to you what I want to suggest, that you either knew already at that time, and so you didn't need your lawyers, your current legal representatives, to tell you that. And I don't know why you would add it in the statement, or alternatively, it had nothing, the decision, you had no knowledge, it wasn't a factor, the regularity or irregularity of that expenditure it wasn't a factor at 29 December. It's something that you constructed after you've sent out the letter to say, oh, by the way, one of the problems, now I know on the 1st or 2nd, 3rd of January, actually one of the problems is that, or one of the justifications is that it is an irregular expenditure, so that on this alternative, which is my proposal of what I think is happening here, is that it's a later fabrication. After you've made the decision, you then decided to tag this on as another reason why you disbanded the PKTT. Do you want to comment on that?
Yes, there's no way I was not aware, because we had discussions even at Cabinet up to a level where we were instructed, if I could use that word, that we should optimize our budgets, we should avoid irregular expenditures, we should spend money, encourage our officials to spend money for what they are allocated for. And long before, I think I even knew that there would be allegations that would be made. We held a meeting to optimize. So I was quite aware earlier. That's why I'm saying that doesn't affect the fact that I was fully aware.
Is there, maybe finally, is there anywhere before the 29th of December that you saw General Dimpani express concern that this expenditure of the PKTT is irregular? Is there any way that you see where
No.
she recorded that?
I have never seen anything from
we
her.
haven't. Yes, we haven't
but
either.
What I've seen is just irregular expenditure in subs, recurring over years, but not to say from PKTT.
All right. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you, Minister.
Let me just follow up on that.
Let us adjourn and resume at 17:15.